Hey everybody, Megan Jansen here, Employee Wellness Solutions Network. On this beautiful day, I wanted to share my monthly message this time all about the value of taking breaks, taking some time off, and what better way to record this message than in my own time off. So I wanted to start by talking a bit about an expert panel that Benefits Canada published an article that we're definitely going to share the link all about the value of taking breaks and specifically what are some of those key elements and areas of which employers, what we can do as leaders to encourage it. Firstly, let's talk about breaks. What kind of breaks could be encouraged at the workplace? Well, when we think about breaks, we often think of, a small stretch break or a hydration break or a bio break. But this goes a little further than that. We'd start thinking about more so about, encouraging your lunch away from the desk, taking a walk around the block, perhaps 15 minutes of a coffee chat with a colleague. So encouraging real breaks during your day is really a key element, and regular breaks is encouraged. And interestingly, another element of this taking breaks is not necessarily the duration, but the frequency. So short, frequent breaks are ideal. We talk about why they're essential. Well, they definitely help with a lot of things, and they encourage positive mental health, often productivity changes once we take a bit of a break. The happiness factor, interesting articles about this, which we'll also share. Reduction of stress and improvement of just being more efficient in terms of a clear mind, creation, imagination, reducing decision fatigue. It's a real thing. So there's some value in taking breaks and really encouraging it from a leadership perspective to ensure that our employees are taking those well needed and deserved breaks. Now, sometimes we can hear employees say, well, you know what? Workload and deadlines, they're keeping me from taking breaks. And it can also lead into not taking holidays and not taking vacation time because of that. It was an interesting article, a survey that reported that employees who are getting ready to take a holiday or coming back work an extra 13.6 hours just to feel like they're not so stressed before going or coming back. So we'll talk about once we get to that point about what leaders can do. I'll talk about some, I hope, some valuable tips when it comes to what we as leaders can do. Now, there's a couple of kind of breaks we can encourage. There's relaxing breaks, there's active breaks. Relaxing are, helpful for calm, serenity, relaxing. Workplaces have sometimes different rooms and different facilities that we can encourage for taking breaks and trying to calm ourselves down. There's some organizations that don't have the luxury of relaxing rooms or restful rooms, but we can maybe encourage some active breaks. Sometimes, taking a walk outside, it's also shown that taking a break outdoors is the most effective regeneration and rejuvenation. So some really valuable things here to really encourage taking some breaks to feel recharged and refreshed. So when do we take breaks? Well, ideally we can schedule them into our days. And this sounds a little bit funny, but when we're so busy with projects, deadlines, and meetings, it's kind of hard. Our days get away from us, hours get away from us without even realizing it. And so I find putting it and encouraging this with employers and leaders is literally blocking time off in our calendars for breaks. And it sounds silly, but it's sometimes the only way we can do that. So let's talk about, to finish off, what we as leaders can actually do and how can we encourage it. Well, I'm going to say, what, 5 things or so we can do as leaders. um, First of all, we can look at break taking and being encouraged to take break to support the culture of our workplaces. So we can start to look at culture in a different light. If we are encouraging taking breaks, if we're encouraging, if it's okay not to eat at our desks, we don't want people to eat at their desks, then that can start to really move into a culture shift. And also encouraging those vacation days. So those are critical. The second thing we as leaders can do is we can model the behavior. we can model the behavior as leaders, which means all we need to do is take our own breaks and be okay with that. So that's definitely the second thing. The third thing is not necessarily from an executive leadership perspective, but also managers and supervisors, the middle management perspective is the communication to encourage our teams to take breaks. This is really another element that I find is often missed is sometimes the message can come from executive leadership, but it tends to have a little bit of a sticking point typically in the middle management side. So that is another element I feel that is important to encourage it at that level. Um, the fourth one is respecting employee boundaries, obviously providing autonomy for their schedule. So not obviously dictating when to take breaks, but let them do it. And that can be really beneficial. The fifth one is encouraging that vacation time. As I said, a survey was researched looking at Canadian workers' work more 13 and a half more hours just to prepare and get ready and then catch up at the end of a holiday. And that can be quite stressful. So what can we do? Well, we can ensure there are work-life balance options. We can look at flexible um, deadlines. We can also look at some structured handoffs. And so we can kind of lower that stress when we're getting ready for or coming back from a holiday. Look, if we can have workplaces that encourage this from a health promotion perspective and healthy workplace perspective, we can be attractive to job seekers. There's also an element of an improved employee retention. If people know that they're supported, there's so much out there now that talks about the happiness factor, and we'll also link some really interesting research about this. But the happiness factor is massive, and so if this is an element of your workplace, we do find and have learned that it can resonate with people and they want to stay there. Obviously, increases a positive workplace culture and can reduce burnout when we're looking at all of this. So, some interesting information today. I wanted to share the value of taking breaks, the value of taking some time off, and everyone needs it to recharge, rejuvenate, and get back at it. Hopefully, you found this helpful, and hopefully, you are also taking some well deserved breaks. Bye for now.